leading figures are talking about a great reset. If they weren't, it wouldn't be on Time magazine and they wouldn't have dedicated an entire issue to it. Time magazine would be a useful barometer of what the elites are planning and where they want to direct us.
It's just a new label for the very old ideas of centralization of control in fewer hands, globalization, transformation of society through Orwellian surveillance technologies, etc. You might know that through that crazy conspiracy term, New World Order. Well, here's a new term for it. These are the richest, most powerful people conspiring openly, an open conspiracy to bring about this transformation of humanity.
Why are they doing this? The answer is quite simply, this is a coup by the globalist elite. The World Economic Forum produced a video in 2016 in which this starry-eyed young person said, "Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, I have no privacy, and life has never been better." Well, it doesn't sound like a better life to me. It sounds horrible.
This is not conspiracy. This is what these people are saying.
Yes.
By 2030, you'll own nothing and be happy about it. Why would you be happy about that? Well, turn off your brain and start listening, because we'll answer that question and more. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, which is a group of the richest people in the world who want complete control of the world. Governments and the super rich who already control the governments will own everything. That's a win for them. Meanwhile, you own nothing, which is a win for you, according to them. But you'll be allowed to rent things from the government that you need, like clothes, shelter, and a pacifier for your baby. You'll also receive an income from the government. Sounds great, doesn't it? This just in! We're already doing some of that. They're called stimulus checks. In this innovative vision of freedom, you'll be completely controlled by the government because you're completely dependent on the government. I smell a social credit score. Will there be a social credit score that requires you to be strictly obedient to the government in order to receive your meager rations? Like, I don't know. Does the World Economics Forum vision sound like socialism, communism, and totalitarianism? No, because they're calling it something different. The Great Reset, actually. First, let's be clear. For all of human history, socialism, communism, and totalitarianism has always worked swimmingly. It's never created super oppressed and abused people. 100% of the time, it's never done that. That's why you've always seen people from capitalist countries like the US risking their lives to flee to communist countries like Cuba. Or at least what the US used to be.
It's my distinct honor and great privilege to introduce our opening speaker of the Davos Agenda Week, His Excellency Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China.
Davos, the annual World Economic Forum soiree. And yeah, some movers and shakers like the Bill Gateses of the world, etc. Bill Gates always appears at Davos to make some sort of big announcement, launching the decade of vaccines or what have you. It's not exactly the elite of the elite. You know, that would be more like a Bilderberg or Trilateral Commission or one of those types of events. Davos was somewhat further down on the list. Perhaps this is an attempt by Klaus Schwab to angle the World Economic Forum somewhere higher up on that hierarchy.
As a reminder, my notion and my book of the Fourth Industrial Revolution is that the innovations we are seeing today in terms of artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, cloud computing, advanced robotics, and many others, together constitute a new phase in human development. So when we build the post-COVID world, when we do the Great Reset, one of the most important places to start will be to ensure that the fruits of the Fourth Industrial Revolutions are really shared by all.
when they talk about wealth distribution, and that's frequently you hear that, there is no wealth to distribute. This is the first big lie that just stands out from an economic point of view. There is no wealth to share. Does anybody think that the people, the global elite running this whole thing, who are rich beyond their wildest imagination, are going to give up one nickel of their wealth? It's about getting it redistributed from you to them. And they're doing a pretty darn good job globally. During this pandemic, the small companies going out of business just decimated our economy. So having said
is that part of the plan? Right, that they want to destroy the small, medium businesses.
It's the crushing of free market economics on a global basis.
Big tech companies such as Apple, Samsung, Alphabet, Amazon, or Facebook already are among the largest global companies, but the last months have further cemented their leading positions in the market, while others have started to lag further behind. That will prove to be not only the case now, but will be a permanent consequence of COVID-19.
And his book is COVID-19 and the Great Reset. So you see, he's thinking of COVID-19 as the opportunity of the Great Reset.
The arrogant have dug pits for me, men who are not in accord with your law.
You cannot have a reset unless there's some vacuum that happened before you push the button. You can't rebuild something unless the first thing has been destroyed.
Events surrounding the Great Reset were planned, in part, in the pre-pandemic simulations of Event 201 and the food chain reaction game.
So Bill Gates and these Johns Hopkins folks get together, they simulate tens of millions of people dying, and then they conclude that governments and social media will need, this is on their page here, governments and social media will need to work more closely together to ensure that only the appropriate information reaches the public. So they're designing censorship around this entire thing. And of course they describe the next severe pandemic will not only cause great illness, but could also trigger major cascading economic and societal consequences that could contribute greatly to global impact and suffering. Food Chain Reaction Game, which was run by the Center for American Progress, which is headed up by John Podesta, it's funded by George Soros, was the other simulation run by billionaires recently that took a look at what's happening. The think tanks will use these games, these simulations, these exercises, they have a number of nice words for them, to seed the solution that they want to come out when the problem actually happens. So they actually are predictive programming the solution bit of the dialectic problem, reaction, solution. Then they cause the problem, and then of course they guide to that solution which they had pre-suggested. So we're now running through their script. This is what it feels like. All that fear you may have been feeling, well, take a breath, because this is all part of the script. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm not saying it's not dangerous. I am saying this is all in the cards. It's all part of the plan to gain total control over the food supply and over all aspects of resources and fundamentally over you.